You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account. From Apple to VIX and everything in between, if it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report. And now, get ready to scan the tape for the most explosive options activity on the street. It's time for the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, that music means it is time once again for the Hot Options Report for Thursday, August 21st. Looking forward to it. Should be a fun one. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the network that continues to explode out there. So if you're not checking out the full network, wherever you're getting the Hot Options Report, man, you are missing out, listeners. Now, if you're listening to this show, chances are that you're pretty serious about options trading. So let me put something on your radar. Public. It's the most cost-effective way to trade options. That's because Public is the only platform that gives you rebates on your options trades. They also have some of the industry's lowest index options fees, whether you're placing single leg or complex multi-leg trades. Every dollar counts. Check out public.com/optionsbrief and discover the most cost-effective way to trade options. Again, the Hot Options Report brought to you by Public. Full disclosures in the podcast description. All right, let's get down to business here, shall we, with some hot options action. Let's kick it off in the world of volatility, aka VIX. Our old pal, Mr. VIX, where the options lighting up the tape. You know, it seemed like a good start on our option block program earlier today when we were well north of 500,000 contracts already. It seemed like we were on pace to at least hit the ADV of 779, if not exceed it. And then VIX pretty much stopped trading for the rest of the day. Closed at a little bit north of 650,000 contracts. So it seemed like VIX came out hot out of the gate and then just sputtered out to nothing for the rest of the session out there, listeners, which is interesting because we did have a bit of red on the screen out there, so that usually drives a little bit of volume in the vol complex, but not today. The hot option in VIX land today, 52,000 of the D's 15 puts. We talked about these on our option block program. They went up in a huge block of 50,000 for 24 cents. Seemed like an intriguing trade. You're buying a lot of duration. You can take an issue maybe with the strike. 15 is pretty low, but it is the seasonally quiet period of December. 24 cents. We thought we'd put it out to you folks. Would you rather buy them or sell them at that price? Right now, 61.5% of you want to buy them. 38.5% of you want to sell them. Get on over to @options to make your voice heard. This is our flash poll. This will be active throughout the rest of the day. On to SPY we go, listeners. Was it a hot day in SPY? It was about what you'd expect. The ADV is about 8 million contracts, and they put up a little more than 8 million contracts out there today. The hot option in SPY land today, 554,000 of the 636 calls expiring today, listeners. You know it, you love it. It's all zero-day paper all the time, listeners, in the SPY. And, of course, where did SPY go out today, listeners? 635 and about a half. So within spitting distance of that strike, but unfortunately not above it. All right, to the S we go, listeners. Was it a hot day in the S? It was a little bit lighter than expectations. ADV right around 3.85 million, putting up a little bit north of 3.6 million today in the S. The hot option in the SPX today, almost 118,000 of the 6370 puts. And the S going out right at that strike yet again, 63.70.17 to be precise. So once again, flirting with pinning right at the exact strike, which is Always interesting and or frustrating to a lot of zero-day and just general options traders. Out to small caps we go. Small caps were the story of last week, putting up well over 2 million contracts in several sessions. Couldn't quite get there today. 1.2 million contracts on the tape against an ADV of a little bit north of 1.4 million. The hot option in small caps today, nearly 87,000 of the 214 puts in September. 214, I got another one that's got a little ways to go. Small caps closing a tick shy of 226 today out there. So 214 got a little ways to go to threaten that strike. And then out to the Qs we go. The Qs, the last few sessions have been where the action has been. NASDAQ just getting gut punched this week. And then yesterday getting gut punched and then rallying back the second half of the session. So a lot of paper going up in the NASDAQ, which is reflected in that ADV, which has exploded to nearly 4.2 million contracts a day. And even at that lofty level, the Q's managing to exceed that again today, 4.43 million contracts on the tape. In the Q's, the hot option out there in the NASDAQ, almost 250,000, 248,000 of the 562 puts. Again, we went out 563 and around a quarter. So no joy for those 562 puts. Went up for an average price today of about 87 cents. All right, let's get down to single name business, shall we? I know that's what brings a lot of you to the dance and a lot of you to the show. Was it an explosive day in the single names? Not really. Everyone's waiting for Jackson Hole, it seems like. Cost you $4.42 to break into the top 10 today. That gets you to our old pal, the Amazonians. Respectable paper, but not explosive. Not the 1 million contracts or close to it we saw this time a week ago. Then again, dog days of summer. So you kind of get what you'd expect out there. And what was the hot option in the Amazonians today? 26,000 of the 220 puts. And again, looks like we are pretty much 10 for 10 in our top 10 today, listeners. Say that 5 times fast. All expiring on Friday. So once again, everyone's obsessed with the weeklies. 220 puts expiring tomorrow in Amazon. Amazon going out just a tick shy of 222. So average price of about $1.27 as well. So they're not giving those away. So Amazon needs to continue moving to the downside to pay off those puts. And if you sold them, you need to just grit your teeth and hope it stays above that 220 strike by tomorrow's close. Out to Walmart we go, listeners. The big name in big box retail, the bellwether for not just retail, but for how the economy is faring right now. Also these days, the impact of tariffs. And the market not really loving what they saw out of Walmart today, taking them to the woodshed, off nearly 5%, closing a little bit shy of 98 out there today, listeners. So Walmart feeling a little bit of pain out there today, or really a lot of pain out there. And the hot option in Walmart today, nearly 20,000 of the 99 calls. Looks like average price for these of nearly 50 cents. So obviously if you're buying those, you need the stock to pop by $1.50 at least by tomorrow's close. If you sold them, you need to grit your teeth and hope this sell-off continues. Or at the very least, we hang out here, either way, number 9. All right, out to Intel. This has been a fascinating story coming in at number 8, listeners. Intel, 483,000 contracts on the tape. The hot option in Intel, again, they've been up again, they've been down again. They were $20 exactly a little over a week ago, rallying north of 25 on their trip to DC. Then, of course, the investment by SoftBank coming down the other side of it these days on the heels of maybe more stock is available to interested buyers at a discounted rate. That's never good for the stock. So $23.50 is where Intel closed today. Managing to skate out a pretty much an unched day out there, listeners. They sold them off all the way down to about 22 3/4, and they managed, just like yesterday in the NASDAQ, to rally back the second half of the session. And what was the hot option out there in good old Intel today, listeners? It was 23,000 of the 24 calls. Average price of about 15 cents. So stock needs to run a little bit for those bad boys to pay off tomorrow as we keep on rolling to number 7, AMD. And if you listen to our option block show, you can hear the breakdown I did earlier today of the gains the chip names had, in particular AMD and Nvidia, after Nvidia's trip to Washington in early August. And then, of course, they've pretty much given it all back. Both AMD and Nvidia are pretty close to the levels they were when Nvidia made that trip to Washington. So it seems like that trip gave a lot, and then they're kind of giving it back now. Either way, number 7, AMD, 163 and about 3/4 is where it closed today, putting up almost 550,000 contracts. The hot option in AMD today, 49,000 of the 165 calls, average price of about $1.80. So this thing needs to get in gear. If you were buying these, listeners, by tomorrow, obviously need to run to 166.80 by tomorrow's close, pretty much exactly $3 to the north, just to break even on these calls. So we'll see how that works out. As we keep on rolling to number 6, it's our old pal Nio making its way back onto the top 10. I haven't talked about them in quite a while. They were perennial top 10ers for a long time. Then they've been kind of kicked out of the top 10 by all this wave of newcomers we've seen, listeners. Nio closing today $5.50. So a nice day out there for Nio, popping almost 10%. Just a wild day out there. Things are booming in Chinese EVs, apparently. 624,000 contracts on the tape for Nio today. The hot option, 80, almost 81,000 of the 5 halves. That's pretty much exactly where the stock went out. They went up for about an average price of 11 cents. So not a wild trade here. Don't need a huge move to make these pay off. If you sold them for 11 cents, what are you doing? This stock could run. You don't want to get in the way of that just for 11 cents. Get a little bit more juice if you're going to take a whole bunch of risk to the upside. Either way, though, we'll keep an eye on those as we keep on rolling to number 5, our old pal, It's Open. Closing today, $3.60, gaining back another 11, almost 12% out there today. So this has just been another wild name to watch. 645,000 contracts on the tape. Take a guess what the hot option was in Open today. We're north of the 3/2 strike. Was it the 3/2? Probably not. Nope, it was the 4s. Going out tomorrow, 100,000 of them almost exactly changing hands today. For again, 11 cents is the magic price. That was the price of the 5 halves in Nio. That's the price of the 4s in Open. So obviously, do the math, listeners. Needs to close north of 411 to pay those bad boys off, or at least get there intraday so you could sell them. But we'll be watching Open tomorrow as we keep on rolling to number 4. It's our old pal, the Fruit Company, also coming back down to earth a little bit. So maybe these Washington gains are kind of short-lived. Apple had a nice run north of 230, and now back to a little bit shy of 225, 224.90, off about 0.5% today. Of course, it still has a long way to go to get back to the par strike, which is where it was before it made its trip to Washington. So unlike Nvidia and AMD, Apple is still looking pretty good net after their trip. 678,000 contracts on the tape for them. The hot dog in Apple today, 60,000 of the 222.5 puts. So they still have a little ways to go to get there, closing a little bit shy at 225 today, 224.90 in Apple. So this stock needs to keep running to the downside. Traded for an average price of nearly 90 cents. So needs to get in gear to the downside if you were buying those today, listeners. Number 3, our old pal Palantir, also coming back to earth a little bit out there, listeners. Even though it ended up closing the day after selling off a lot. Again, the same story as yesterday. Aggressive sell-off yesterday in Palantir, and then a nice rally. We saw a decent sell-off this morning in Palantir as well, before rallying back to pretty much unched on the day out there. So it's been a wild couple of days in Palantir. If you had the cojones to step in front of that sell-off yesterday and buy some 140, 145 calls in Palantir, you're looking pretty good today. Stock closing a little bit north of 156, 156.18 in Palantir, and 1.18 million contracts changing hands in Palantir. So quite a jump, nearly 2x from number 4 to number 3 on the volume list today, listeners. What was the hot option in Palantir today? 93, almost 94,000 of the August 160 calls, 160s. Going up for an average price of about $1.32 as we keep on rolling to number 2. Yes, all is right with the world again. Tesla back in the number 2 spot, closing just a tick north of 320 today, putting up 1.44 million contracts. The hot option in Tesla today, nearly 92,000 of the 320 puts. That is the at-the-money put right now, but they traded for an average price of $3.26. So, you know what I'm going to tell you? If you bought them, you need that stock to get in gear to the downside by tomorrow's close, listeners, to make back that $3.26 that you paid. As we keep on rolling to the number one spot on our list today, listeners, you know it, you love it, maybe you hate it. It's Nvidia. Closing just a tick shy of 175 today, putting up also just a tick north of 2 million contracts. 2.04 million contracts today. The hot option in Nvidia land today, 190,000 of the 177.5 calls changing hands for about exactly $1, listeners. So again, do the math. Got to get up to 178.5 by tomorrow at the close in order for those bad boys to break even, closing a little bit shy of 175. So Nvidia has its work cut out for it tomorrow. All right, and that's going to do it for the hot options report for today. No live show tomorrow. It's a big holiday in the options market tomorrow, August 22nd. Always a very highly celebrated day. So we will be off for ball views and for options oddities and for the hot options report tomorrow. But back again with our usual array of content next week. And we'll see you back here on Monday, another episode of the hot options report. And stay safe out there, everybody.
Check out public.com/optionsbrief and discover the most cost-effective way to trade options. Paid for by Public Investing. Full disclosures in podcast description.